friends, this is Ishant. You are watching YouTube channel Keeps Learning, Happy Learning. Acknowledge the knowledge by exploring yourself within. So friends, might be you all are enjoying our content, our learning, whatever the contents we are sharing, might be you all are enjoying that. So in our today's video, we are going to talk about some of the upcoming free online webinars. So please be stay tuned, keeps on watching, keeps on learning. So friends, our first webinar is on intellectual property rights, significance and challenges, and which is going to held on 9th July from 11 am to 12:30 pm, and which is going to organized by Department of Commerce and IQAC, Badruka College of Commerce and Arts. Okay, so if you are interested for this webinar, you can register for this. Registration link I have mentioned in the description box. So our next webinar is on mental stress and suicidal tendencies of new generation in pandemic situation, and which is going to held on 12th July from 5 pm onwards, and the last date of registration is 10th July at midnight, which is going to organized by Parbsthali College. Okay, so if you are interested for this webinar, you can register for it. Registration link I have mentioned in the description box. So our next webinar, actually that is 2 days international webinar. The topic is human values and human rights amidst COVID-19 pandemic, elevating through educational interventions, and which is going to held on 10th July and 11th July, and which is going to organized by the Central University of Jammu. Okay, so if you are interested for this webinar, you can register for it. Registration link I have mentioned in the description box. So our next webinar is on enhancement of employability skills for management graduates in the perspective of COVID-19 pandemic. So which is going to held on 8th July from 11 am to 12 noon, and which is going to organized by Department of MBA, KKR and KSR Institute of Technology and Science. Okay, so if you are interested for this webinar, you can register for it. Registration link I have mentioned in the description box. So our next webinar is on, that is actually 2 days online national discourse, and the topic is foundation of education, which is going to held on 7th and 8th July by Banaras Hindu University, that is BHU. Okay, that is one of the IIT. So if you are interested for this webinar, you can register for it. Actually this is not webinar, this is discourse. Both are actually similar. Okay, so if you are interested for this discourse, or you can say webinar, you can register for this. Registration link I have mentioned in the description box. Okay, so our next program is virtual legal awareness program. Okay, the topic is Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, with special reference to preconception and pre-NATAL diagnostic techniques, which is going to held on 8th July at 4 pm by Atal Bihari Vajpayee Institute of Legal Studies, Kanpur. So if you are interested for this awareness program, you can register for it. Registration link I have mentioned in the description box. So our next webinar is on questioning politics of identity, disability perspective, and which is going to held on 9th July from 6 pm to 7 pm, and which is going to organized by Prabhat Kumar College, Conte. So if you are interested for this webinar, you can register for it. The registration link I have mentioned in the description box. So our next webinar, actually that is international webinar, and the topic is COVID-19 and environment, and which is going to held on 11th July from 6:30 pm to 8:35 pm, and which is going to organized by Department of Geography, Chakdaha College. Okay, so if you are interested for this international webinar, you can register for it. Registration link I have mentioned in the description box. Okay, so our next webinar is on food laws and the requirement of food testing in India, and which is going to held on 8th July, which is going to organized by Department of Food Technology, AKS University, Satna. Okay, so if you are interested for this webinar, you can register for it. Registration link I have mentioned in the description box. So our next webinar is on Aayush initiatives for combating COVID-19, and which is going to held on 10th July from 11 am to 1 pm, and which is going to organized by Satyabhama Institute of Science and Technology. So if you are interested for this webinar, you can register for this. Registration link I have mentioned in the description box, right? So our next webinar is, that is again international webinar. The topic is overseas literature of Hindi and its concepts, and which is going to held on 9th July from 4 pm to 5 pm, and which is going to organized by Department of Hindi, Badruka College of Commerce and Arts. So if you are interested for this international webinar, you can register for this. Registration link I have mentioned in the description box. So our next webinar is on the emerging role of analytics in finance and accounting in India, and which is going to held on 8th July at 5 pm, and which is going to organized by Forum of Commerce and Management Studies. So if you are interested for this webinar, you can register for this. Registration link I have mentioned in the description box. Okay, so our next webinar, actually that is not webinar, it is international virtual conference on advanced materials, okay, IVCAM 2020, and which is going to held on 21st July from 10 am to 12 noon, so which is going to organized by Department of Physics, Baswa Prabhu Core, Arts, Science and Commerce College, Chikudi. Okay, so if you are interested for this webinar, you can register for this. Registration link I have mentioned in the description box. So our next webinar, that is the last one. So actually that is a student webinar. So the topic is COVID-19 shock, investing opportunities in stock market. Okay, and which is going to held on 8th July from 11 pm to 12 noon, and which is going to organized by M. Basavai Institute of Management Studies, and which is affiliated to Bangalore University. Okay, so if you are interested for this webinar, you can register for this. Registration link I have mentioned in the description box. This is what all about webinars. Time to time as possible, I will bring more and more webinars, conference, FTP and like workshops. Okay, so but I need your support. Please share our videos to your friends, and please subscribe our channel still if you have not subscribed. So whenever we will upload our next video, you will get the notification. Thank you.